Hey, what's up, my man? My name is Avery Saylor, and you're watching the Larger Than Logic podcast. Hey, what's good, man? I'm glad you decided to stop by today. I'm glad that you decided to spend some time. And I think this is going to be a really good episode for you. Now, I think it is going to be a hard check, so buckle up. But we're going to talk about fathering today. We're going to talk about being a husband. And I wanted to mention something that I noticed that you might be missing. A lot of people talk about this. A lot of people, try to make us feel good sometimes by saying, a good father is a present father. But those people have lied to you, okay? Being present is good, right? Because you can't affect your family positively without being present. But that is nowhere near where you're supposed to be. And that's nowhere near where any of us need to be. Okay? I'm not trying to demonize you, not trying to say you're not doing a good job. You might be doing the best you very well know to do. But I'm sorry to let you know, my guy, that is not the mark. A lot of people don't talk about it in this way, but being a father, being a husband, being in a family, and being at the head of that family, right? It is one of the greatest, most large responsibilities that anybody could ever hold. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of roles, there's a lot of callings, there's a lot of, responsibilities in the world. But to be a husband and a father, I would honestly say that is one of the top three, if not number one, because the direction and the success of your family in a great way has to do with your action or inaction. This is why I'm telling you, just being present is not enough by any stretch of the imagination. You see, being a father, right? Being a husband, being a family man is very similar to that of a steering wheel in a car. We can even take that a step further. The steering wheel in a moving car. You see, the thing about it is, when you are in a moving vehicle going down the highway 60, 70 miles per hour, you can be in that vehicle. You can be in that driver's seat, right? But if you do not put your hands on that steering wheel and you do not direct that car to stay in its lane and go in the direction that it is supposed to go, inevitably you and your family will crash. And I hope and pray that there will not be fatalities as a result. It is the exact same thing being a husband and a father and deciding that you're going to be there, but you are going to put in no effort in undertaking your responsibility and actually being of positive benefit to the trajectory of your family. Just being in the space means nothing. Just having a body in the space means nothing. What are you doing while you're in that space? Are you calling out things that should not be happening in the space? Are you encouraging the good things that are happening in the space? Are you having the conversations that matter? Are you encouraging your children when they may not be feeling the most confident? Are you supporting your wife in being a good sounding board that allows her to feel confident in her decision making, while also understanding that you are a safe space to lead and guide her in those decisions? You can't do those things by just being there. You can't do those things by just coming through the door every day. You can't do those things just by occupying space. It is an active task. The exact same way that when you are driving that car and you have your wife to your right hand side and you have your kids in the back seat, that you have to keep your hands on that steering wheel. You have to keep your hands on that steering wheel. You have to keep the vehicle going in the direction that it's supposed to. You can't be veering off into the left lane. You can't be veering off into the right lane. You cannot be tailgating the car in front of you, especially in traffic. You must have your hands on that steering wheel and you must keep the vehicle going in the direction that it's supposed to be going. You must be in your home intentionally driving the vehicle in the direction that it's supposed to be going, attentively. Now, I will say, just like driving, when you get good at leading your family, when you get good at supporting your wife, when you get good at nurturing your children, it does become more of an automatic thing. It does become more of a situation where you may not have to think about each individual detail as much. You may not have to practice the exact same level, moment by moment, of self awareness in the decisions that you're making. However, nonetheless, the responsibility and the scale of the consequence for not taking that action is just as serious, if not more. You see, your action and inaction is the basis for the success of your family. Similarly to the car scenario, correct? If you are in the vehicle, right, and you are over correcting the steering wheel, say somebody is tailgating you, so you decide to be sporadic and hit 90 to 95 on a curve. That is the wrong time to be doing such a thing as that. You are going to more than likely once again find you and your family in a fatally tragic situation. If your pride gets in the way and you find yourself in a road rage battle with somebody else, and no matter what happens, you're refusing to let them over, even if that means them crashing into the car with you and your family. Once again, the result of your action is putting your family in a ridiculously dangerous situation. In the same manner, if your wife says something that you may not have liked, if your kid does something that you may not have liked, it is imperative that you find the control within yourself to react in a way that is supportive of the overall goal and direction your family is going in, rather than in sole defense of self, rather than just reacting to how you feel in that moment. The same way you cannot be reactive on the road and expect to make it to your destination safely, you cannot be reactive emotionally in your household and expect your family to get to a place where there is consistent progression and development of all members. This is important to say because a lot of fathers that I talk to and a lot of dads, husbands that I talk to, they think that just because they're in the space, and similar to you, they may think that just because they're in the space, they've done enough and that's okay. No, it's not okay. Because every single last thing that you're doing is leaving an impression on those who are following you. The good, the bad, and the ugly is all leaving an impression on those who are following you. You cannot afford to be mindlessly reacting to the space and expecting a good result. Then 10, 15, 20 years go by and you're wondering why your wife has left you or is planning to leave you. You wonder why your kids don't like you or won't talk to you. Not that being liked is necessarily the goal, but you wonder why they don't respect you the way you would like to be respected, rather. There's a number of reasons why these things can happen, but one of the largest that I've seen is that we as husbands and fathers did not take accountability for our role and protect our role and walk in our role the way God has intended us walk in our role. Now, on the other side of this coin, what is also very important to notice is that a lot of us do get in the driver's seat and begin to try to drive the car with our families in it, but we were never trained on how to drive. We never had somebody to take us out and let us put our foot on the gas and put our foot on the brake and learn about the turn signals. And a lot of us never have been to driving school where we learned the laws of the road and we had somebody take us out to prepare us for our driving test. A lot of us did not have any of that. And so I can completely understand why, when we do find ourselves in that driver's seat and we're trying to figure out, okay, what do we do here? What do we do that? It's easier to self-soothe and tell ourselves, oh yeah, because I'm here, and I'm doing better than what I had, and that's good enough. I completely understand how we can find ourselves in that situation. But the fact of the matter is, the individual who gets on the road in a car with their family that does not know how to drive is just as dangerous as the father or husband who enters a marriage and begins to have kids and raises those kids without having any concept of how these things are actually supposed to be going. It is just as dangerous and the results are just as detrimental. I know y'all see all the YNs running around today, robbing folks, shooting at each other, breaking into cars, hurting young ladies. I'm not going to be too vulgar, doing a bunch of different things. But I can promise you, even if they do know that what they're doing is wrong, a lot of them do not know what doing right looks like. A lot of them do not know what doing right looks like. And guess what? They're going to be men one day. I see endless guys grew up in the 80s and the 90s in the exact same situation. Yes, they may know that what they're doing is not the right thing to do, but they do not know what the right thing to do is and what it actually looks like. You cannot just tell folk all day long, stop doing the wrong thing without giving them what to replace it with. All you're doing is, at that point, is leaving voids. And when you're leaving these young men and these young boys and these little girls and all these people with voids, they're going to try to fill those voids in some way, form, or fashion. If you are going to be driving your family in this car and you do not know how to steer it, you do not know how to operate it, I vitally, truly suggest that you take a second to stop and begin to learn. I understand that you may not be able to completely stop driving the ship or driving the car, rather. I understand that you may not be able to slow down, but I bet you, and I'd almost be willing to bet you my life savings that even if you can't get into that driver's school every single day, you have some weekends, you have some mornings, you have some evenings. You can talk to people, you can read books, you can gain skills, you can have conversations, you can listen to this podcast and begin to become a more responsible driver of your family. But it's only going to happen if you take the ownership first. And you have nobody to blame but yourself if you don't get your family to where they're supposed to be going. I believe one of the biggest lessons that you'll learn on this journey, if you actually truly mean it, is that you can't guide your family by yourself anyway. I can't guide my family by myself. One of the realest things that I've ever found, if it was not for the God that created me, teaching me how to be a better man, teaching me how to be a better husband, I promise you I will probably be the most selfish, most self-centered, most disgusting, most spiteful, most prideful, most just treacherous man that you could think of. Because these are the type things that happen when we're acting solely off of self. When you are guiding yourself, all you have to live off of is your ambition, your concept of what you think is right and wrong. And a lot of times that comes with you defending what you think is right or wrong, which a lot of times has to do with nothing but how something affects you. And being a good leader is rooted in being selfless. Being a good leader is rooted in thinking about the entire group, not just one person in any way, form, or fashion. So on today, I would like to challenge you. If you have been driving your family in this vehicle and you have been swerving in and out of the lanes, you can't figure out how to drive this car correctly. I'm not trying to tell you to tell somebody. I'm not trying to tell you to even go and start trying to get all the resources together right now today. I just want you to admit it to yourself. I want you to look yourself in the mirror and admit to yourself, hey, I do not know what I'm doing. I do not know where we are going. I do not know what a healthy family looks like or is supposed to look like. Once you can come to terms with that, I promise you, you will then be in a position to actually learn something. Because as soon as you stop trusting your broken vision, you can obtain a vision that's actually worth holding on to. If this was impactful to you and this was helpful to you, if this was eye-opening to you, share this with somebody else that could benefit from it. And if you are listening to this and you know a husband or a father that could benefit from hearing a message such as this, share this with them. When we love people, we want to see them be the best they can possibly be. And it is almost impossible for people to be the best they can possibly be when their community allows them to function in a subpar manner. But as always, my name is Avery Taylor. You are listening to the Larger Than Logic podcast, and I thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey.